I've never seen the countdown. And
No.
bam, we're live.
And we actually have a guest.
We do.
Like right away. 7 seconds in.
Yeah, no messing around. It took us 13 minutes last time, Peter, to officially get Lyle on. So you are already ahead of the curve.
Perfect.
And Peter, quick intro. You are VP HR with us here at Apex. But today we're not going to talk to you about any of that stuff because we got some other special stuff going on. And in the community of Red Deer that I think we're going to get into a little bit more with you. But thanks for agreeing to come on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. This is third episode, so we're pretty raw, pretty new, but having a lot of fun with this.
Well, hopefully I can help out.
So I've always been impressed by you, Peter. But one thing in particular that I've always been impressed with is that you actually know how to have a life outside of the office, and not that is we always preach work-life balance, and you actually know how to live work-life balance. And so today we're going to talk to you about some of that stuff because it is the 100th year anniversary of the Red Deer Golf and Country Club, and the activities are coming up this week. Is it the anniversary this week, or when is the actual anniversary?
Well, I guess two points to that. It is our 100th anniversary, and this week is when we celebrate it. There's a little bit of not controversy, but indecision around when the club actually was formed. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that this week is the week where we're going to celebrate the 100th anniversary. And that kicks off actually tomorrow, Canada Day, with a dedication of a clock that was installed at the golf course as part of the 100th anniversary celebrations, and that was done by the past presidents of the club. And so that takes place at 1:00 tomorrow, and then the big event actually is on Sunday night when we do we have a gala, and the big part of the gala is the introduction of a movie or film featuring the Red Deer Golf and Country Club and various members that speak on the film, and that's going to be shown to all the members, and it goes live, I guess, at that point.
Nice. That'll be awesome. And will the public be able to find that film somewhere? You guys will post it?
Yeah, I'm assuming it'll be posted on our website or YouTube or something like that. But the members will see it for the first time on Sunday night at the gala.
Yeah. Awesome. So, and you know so much about this because you are the president of the Red Deer Golf and Country Club. How long have you been a member, and then when were you made president?
Okay, so I joined the country club in 2008. I've always loved golf, and just with family and other commitments and work and different things, really didn't golf much while my kids were young. I was coaching and things like that. And then 2008, my son, Kevin, my oldest son, he actually took an interest in golf and wanted to get a membership. And some of his buddies were playing at the country club, and kind of thought to myself, well, that's great. You know, he's going to play at the country club. Maybe I should look at that too. So that's when I joined, and I've been a member since. And I've been on the board of the Red Deer Golf and Country Club. This is my third year. And last year I was asked by the former president to be the vice president last year. And then that falls into me being president this year in the 100th year of the club, which in and of itself is quite an honor and quite humbling, to be honest. And so that entails me having to do a number of different things as part of the celebrations and as part of the 100th anniversary itself.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And we look for, I mean, you know it as the guy who runs our HR department. We look for guys who, you know, who value family, value things exactly like you're talking about, things outside of work that allow us to, you know, we're not just all work, but we want to play, and so that's. But so now, when was the first time you actually touched a club? Can you remember?
I do. I immigrated to Canada when I was 9 years old, and my dad, he started golf when he was 37 years old. I was 9, he was 37. We immigrated to Canada, and somehow somebody invited us to go golfing. We'd never golfed before, so we went, and I fell in love with the game right away, and so did my dad. And so I took it up at an early age, and I guess had a little bit of success as a junior, and just grew a fondness and a love for the game, and I follow it to this day. So,
And your family immigrated from Scotland, correct? And that has quite a history with
Yes.
golf.
Yeah. In fact, it's funny because before our family immigrated, we did a little family vacation to St. Andrews, which is, of course, the home of golf. And ironically, we didn't know anything about golf at the time, but St. Andrews is kind of a holiday spot. And so we spent about a week there prior to immigrating to Canada, just kind of as a thing as to do as a family before we left everyone else, that we knew. So ironically, we were in the home of golf, didn't even golf at the time. And I've since gone back and actually played St. Andrews, which was a tremendous thrill. But yeah, we didn't golf till we came to Canada. But golf is, of course, synonymous with Scotland and that being the home of golf.
Yeah. And so is it like hockey here in Canada? Your dad maybe didn't play, but is it odd for somebody in Scotland not to play golf?
No, I would say actually, well, the big sport in Scotland is football, especially in Glasgow where I came from, or soccer. And so, yeah,
soccer.
So I grew up a fan of Glasgow Celtic, and that's a whole other story in itself. But in certain communities, I would say that golf would be predominant, but in most of the urban centers and the cities, football is life. And so that's what takes precedence over golf. Yeah. And
in Scotland, who's playing golf? Like, what's the demographic of
well,
players
typically
there?
It would be those with a little bit more money. Although, having said that, golf is actually more affordable in Scotland. To join a club similar to what I have here in Red Deer, in the Red Deer Golf and Country Club, would be much cheaper than it is here. So it's not elitist by any stretch, but most of your golfers would be middle class and maybe up from there, I suppose, would be the way to put it.
And knowing a little bit more about you, that's I find that interesting because in your youth growing up, you weren't. Your family didn't have money, and
well, my parents, and thankfully so, moved to Canada to give a better life for myself and my two sisters, and no, we grew up very much in a blue collar home. My mom and dad both worked. They didn't have an education per se. They worked hard to give us a better life, and we're forever thankful for that. But funnily enough, we moved to a small town in southern Alberta, and golf was something we actually could afford. I didn't grow up with the best of equipment or golf shoes or golf clothing or anything like that, but I had clubs that worked, and my mom and dad were able to provide me and my dad with a membership that we used quite a bit and played a lot of golf. And some of my best memories, of course, with my dad was out playing 9 holes with him after work. After he was done work, I'd play with my buddies during the day before I started working, and then in the summer holidays, I'd sometimes play 36 holes in the day and then another 9 holes at night with my dad. And so I lived at the golf course. And true story, I remember maybe dating myself in terms of age, but my mom would get
your hair does that for you.
But my mom would give me $1, and back in those days you could get a pop, a chips, and chocolate bar. I know it's probably not that healthy, but for $1 you could have all three. So I'd be out at the golf course and grab a hot dog some days or whatever, and spend my whole day there practicing and playing and being around my buddies at the time. So it was fun.
Yep. And so immigrating at age 9. I mean, you spoke English, but I imagine that was a challenge because you had the accent. You come to a small town in Alberta. You couldn't blend in, I'm assuming. You're the fiery Scottish kid.
Yes, I was.
So
I am.
So was golf, was that an outlet, or what did that provide an opportunity in kind of those early years for you to kind of have one of those immigration success stories, or what?
Sorry to cut you off. No, you know what? I've never thought of it like that, but reflecting on it now, of course, when we came, I only knew football. It's what I had played, and took up golf, and fortunately was actually, half decent at it from an early age. And so, yeah, I guess you kind of find your voice that way. And you're right. I had a very strong Scottish accent when I came over, and so, yeah, kids would make fun of you. And of course I would get in fights and trouble when I was young. And anyway, no, golf was, I guess, a bit of an outlet where I could spend my time. And however I'm wired, I always loved to just practice and found a group of friends that loved the game like I did, and still actually to this day, lifelong friends. And yeah, so I think you're right. I think in some ways it was an outlet for me because it gave me a place to sort of explore and find my own voice and I guess get somewhat good at something and, you know, get a little bit of prestige or exposure from that, I suppose. So yeah, no, I've never thought of it like that, but definitely.
And I think and you know what, again, we'll just have to have you back on because your story is fantastic in terms of how you joined Apex and you were a teacher, vice principal, principal, and so you'd moved up in the education realm. And so I think you can speak to some level of authority on the youth in Canada and certainly maybe Alberta. And I can only imagine that for you growing up and being able to have that outlet of golf, and then I know you're a curler and then a footballer, like you say, doing those things, whereas you see some of the youth today and you're inside, and certainly with COVID and some of the things that just happened in the last couple of years, but you're inside, you're playing video games, you're a little bit more isolated, you're not outside. Like, yeah, I think that's really special that your family took up golf, your dad took it up, you were able to do something together, maybe knit you guys together as a family, but then allowed you that outlet.
Yeah, I know, and far be it for me to pass judgment on today's youth and whatnot, but I look back and in my youth, I literally rode my bike to the golf course. So there was no getting dropped off. You either walked or you rode your bike, and my clubs were slung around my shoulder, and off you went without your helmet, and you made your way to the golf course. You spent the day there, and if you got hungry and you ran out of money, you might run home, but if not, you hoped your dad would show up so you could play your 9 holes and he'd maybe buy you something to eat. So yeah, I know my youth was pretty much spent outdoors. We didn't have video games or anything like that or cell phones, so that didn't occupy any of our time. And when I moved to Brooks, Alberta, was the town in southern Alberta, there was no soccer, as you call it. It didn't start actually till I was probably in grade 9 or 10. So 4 or 5 years later, there's actually another Scottish guy, believe it or not, also a Celtic fan from Glasgow. He actually started a team and started, if you want to call it, youth soccer. And so that's when I started kicking a ball again, because nobody even did it at recess. It was all baseball or Canadian football, which was a lot bigger in those days too. And so for me, golf was really the sport that I took to. And then a few years later, as you mentioned, I started curling kind of around when I was 12 or 13. And again, for whatever reason, found some success early at that. And so I had golf all summer, curling all winter, and the two just mix real nice. And a lot of people that golf curl and vice versa. So I just kind of fell into that. And to this day, I sort of still pursue those passions, although I'm looking to pack curling in here soon, but we'll see. I might be talked into playing some more.
And, I know that golf can have that reputation. I played a bit as a youth, but I'm not a golfer. But I do know it has that reputation, money, elitist, and those types of things. But I think you and the conversations I've had with you and even the Red Deer Golf and Country Club has always done or tried to do a good job of, being as affordable as you can. Although we're in Alberta and there's some challenges there. But it was, I think that is a neat side of golf is you can start how you started and you can get a shitty pair of clubs and hit the ball.
Yeah. And, it's very important to me because certainly my background wasn't growing up as a country club privileged kid. By no stretch was I that. And so for me, it's important that golf is accessible. And one of the things that we're doing as part of the 100th anniversary celebrations is we've started a scholarship. The club is going to have a scholarship in place for kids, be it they're working in the back shop at the club or they're playing at the club or they're just in the community. They can apply some way, maybe involved with golf, but through the golf club, they can apply for a scholarship to help them go to school. And one of the things we're also looking at is there's a first tee program. We'd like to maybe start that in Red Deer. And we're looking at ways to bring diversity, quite frankly, to the golf course. There's a lot of old, pale, and stale guys like me there. So we're trying to diversify. Our biggest growth has been actually in female golfers. And one of the really interesting things is we have a top-level coach who's actually based out of Red Deer now, who's affiliated with our golf course. and he has a lot of top level juniors that he's coaching. He was actually just in Japan, and the Canadian junior boys won this cup competition in Japan. He was the coach, and so a lot of the kids that he's bringing to the course are actually, maybe of Asian descent or what have you, and that's great to see. That's what we need. We need greater diversity at the club in order to grow it and to have the golf course there for another 100 years. So that's something that's actually, as a board, we're really looking close at as to how do we make sure the club's there for another 100 years? How do we grow the club? And how do we make sure that it's accessible to as many people as possible, given obviously the costs of running a course like that. And it's not cheap, but at the same time, we don't want to be so exclusive that only the wealthy can play there, because obviously kids like me would never have been able to play there. So we need to find a way around that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Peter, sorry, I think if you lean forward a bit, the mic is rubbing up, or just slide that away from your, kind of bumps up against your collar there a bit.
Let me do this. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, if you fold that collar down, it might help a little bit.
The Elvis look is good, but you're.
I wasn't trying to look like Elvis. I'd have to have the black hair. I have to gain a few more pounds than I've got. So that Elvis.
And,
and is there a theme for the 100-year anniversary? Do you have a theme? Is there a title to the 100 years?
No, not so much a theme. Just a variety of activities. Kind of mentioned a couple. There's the clock dedication, and there's the gala. We also are sponsoring a junior event actually next week, and again trying to grow the game. It's for 12 and under, so that'll be fun to watch those kids out there playing. And we also have a business luncheon where we have a guest speaker, and we're asking for people from the community to come in. And then in August, we're actually kind of opening the golf course up to the public. Red Deer Golf Country Club is a private club, but going back to the roots of the club 100 years ago, one of the things they did in order to get a greater interest in the game and to promote the game in Red Deer, the founding members of the club had an open house, if you will, where people came and golfed and discovered golf for the first time with the hope that they would join the club. So we're going to sort of do that 100 years later and invite people from the community to come and have a look and see what we're doing. So.
Oh, that's great. And the story of how it got started, what did, can you tell us that?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, really it kind of speaks to the early pioneering spirit of Red Deer, that it was, people with a common interest had a desire to build a golf course. And there was some old ranch land, as I understand it, where the golf course is currently, that they somehow mustered enough money to purchase. And then they broke the land themselves and started the course, routed it. It's quite a bit different route then as compared to today. And it wasn't 18 holes to start with, and it had sand greens and so on. But 100 years ago, it was just the early pioneers of Red Deer that had found a love for golf, that wanted to play, and started the club and built a clubhouse. In the early days, there were no female members. And again, like I said, that's different today. It's one of the areas we're really trying to focus on in order to grow the game. So that's kind of how it started. And as the club grew and got a little bit more money and so on, it expanded into the current 18 holes we see today. And about 15 or so years ago, a new clubhouse was built, the one we're currently in, and we're looking to expand it just because the needs of the membership have grown and the things that we need it for. So it's just continued to grow and evolve over the 100 years. And an interesting story is that apparently, I believe in the early 1960s, the club had an opportunity to buy what is now our current Bauer Ponds and didn't have enough money to do so. So it could have been a 36-hole golf course if the members of the day had the money to do that. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But over time, it's evolved into what's renowned, not just me saying it, as one of the top courses in Alberta, and very proud and privileged to feel part of that and to be a member there. So yeah.
Because I've already forgotten. Are you guys are hosting the senior? Yeah. What is that? The senior
that's
Alberta
kind of the
men's
culminating, event for the 100th year. We're hosting the Canadian Senior Men's Golf Championship, and that's something that the general manager a few years ago approached Golf Canada to say, "Hey, it's our 100th year. is there any way we could host a national event again? Because we have hosted the seniors in the past, as well as the Canadian Ladies Amateur Championship, as well as several Alberta amateurs and Alberta events. And Golf Canada said, yeah, that would be terrific. The course is usually very well received by anyone that plays it. And Golf Canada knows that we have a pretty nice course. So as part of the 100th year, we're hosting the Canadian Senior Men's Golf Championship.
Awesome. And then I know you have a hard stop here in just a little bit. So just a couple more quick questions. You recently at the golf course, I think, expanded the ability to play in the winter.
Yeah, sorry.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
We added, I guess, a facility. We call it Hawks Alley, and it has 4 simulators. For anyone that is into simulators, it's Foresight Sports. It's a high-end simulator that picks up all the different ball speeds and spins, and so it's really good for practice. And so Hawks Alley is not only good for practice, but good for playing, and has a putting green and a bar and restaurant type thing. So it's actually quite a neat facility, and it's actually in our old converted maintenance shed. So yeah, we repurposed that, made it year round, and that's what I didn't go there very much this winter because of curling, but a lot of the guys used it. We're actually looking, as part of the clubhouse expansion, to bring it actually right to the clubhouse, just so it's easier for food and beverage and things like that, and make it more of a year-round facility, and then repurpose where the current maintenance shed is to hopefully put a practice area down there, or maybe some pickleball courts, those types of things that seem to be popular now. So we're looking at ways of expanding the club, and of course, sort of like the early pioneers, it all boils down to whether we have enough money to do it. And maybe that whole section will be like Bauer Ponds, where we never did have enough and it doesn't happen, but we're hopeful that it will. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was going to be my next question. So going into the future, are there already some definitive plans or groundworks being made, or is it just kind of some thoughts out there about the pickleball court and some other
nothing
things?
Formal in the sense that, well, I shouldn't say that. We have a master plan for the golf course itself, where we've hired an architect to give us some ideas as to how we would just improve some of the holes that we currently have through different bunkering and so on. Because over time, some of the bunkers become a little bit obsolete because of the change in technology and the distance now that people are hitting the ball and so on. So we're looking at a master plan for the golf course, and we're just in the process of actually developing a master plan for the clubhouse as well. We have some preliminary drawings that we're tweaking and looking at changing so that we can bring additional facilities into the club and provide more amenities for the members, because that's the challenge now. A lot of people are looking for a lot of things in a facility, and if it costs a fair bit of money to join it, they want to have year-round use of it. And so, for example, if we could add a gym, and that would be part of your membership, as well as the indoor golf and perhaps childcare or whatever, so that families could go golfing and things like that. These are all things we've talked about and discussed in order to take us forward and to make the game more relevant and the course and club more relevant in the future.
Yep. We need a pool.
That would be good too. Yeah, that's expensive though. Yeah,
when I say
needs a new pool for sure. Yeah.
Yep. No, that would be great. And that might get me to join a golf.
You bet.
Golf club.
Well, we just need to get your kids out there, and if they enjoy it, then they'll end up getting you out there. That's kind of how it works. Or if your wife likes it, so yeah.
Yep. No, Peter, thanks very much. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to highlight from a community aspect with the Red Deer Golf and Country Club 100-year
I'd like
anniversary.
to say a big thank you to Apex, and I guess through my involvement as president of the club and the fact that I love the game and I'm involved. Apex has been kind enough to do a little bit of a sponsorship for both the 100th anniversary and for the Canadian Senior Men's Championship, which I hope to qualify for. I was fortunate enough last year that I was. So it'd be great to play it at my home course, but I have to play a lot better than I have been. It's been a pretty crappy year that way, but I'll get out and practice and do my best. But no, thank you to Apex, and this has actually been kind of fun. So if you have me on again, I'm happy to talk about whatever. And just want to reiterate too that you mentioned early on about balance, and unfortunately, I wasn't always very good about balance. And sometimes, especially when I was pursuing my dreams to go to the Briar and got close a couple times, I was probably out of balance and didn't have family in the right spot compared to maybe my curling and some other things. So, like anything in life, it truly is about balance, but priorities, of course, should be family and those types of things. So yeah, I'm maybe not the best example for that, but I have been fortunate to find a couple of passions in life with golf and curling, and have a wife who's been very supportive, and family has been very supportive of that from a young age with my parents to now with my wife, putting up with me moaning and groaning about how bad my golf game is. And so, yeah, I've been pretty lucky that way. And I know a lot of the guys and hopefully the girls at Apex golf as well, or curl, and love to talk about that. So, yeah, I'm happy to come on again, and not sure how this all works, but I'll be interested in hearing me ramble on once it's live or whatever happens with it. So thank you guys very much.
No, it was fun.
Oh, this has definitely been one of our cleanest interviews. Like it actually. Oh yeah, we're increasing by a
Leaps
lot.
and
Well, I'm
bounds.
just seeing myself in the
I think
camera,
so.
and I think it does add 10 pounds, so I'm hoping that I lose a bit of weight. So anyway, that'll help my golf game too. So thank you guys.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Oh,
This is kind of one of the first ones we've gotten to do where we're highlighting some of the community things, and we want to do that more and more, draw in some other members and associations that Apex is part of, some charities that we've been either individually or personally been able to be involved in. And so this was, an easy opportunity for us to jump into that with your involvement in the country club.
I do want to reiterate that as a company, we've definitely supported those types of activities in the past, be it allowing for our employees to coach and help out their kids, or to leave early to help out with a field trip, or whatever the case might be. Those things are all important, and certainly supportive of that.
No, it's good. And just wanted little support to the Red Deer Golf and Country Club, and hope you guys have a great 100-year anniversary, the gala, and a couple of the youth activities next week. And we'll have to check back in.
You bet.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
And if you just,
thanks a lot.
If you just, does he leave studio, but then stay on a little bit so that we can upload?
Yeah, just keep the app.
So
just keep the app open.
button?
Don't exit the app.
Or you guys do that for me. Okay, I just do it here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.